today I'm going to be doing a book review about Mr. Pip by Lloyd Jones. This book is set on the island of Bougainville in the South Pacific during the 1990s, when there was a civil war going on in the island. Although it is pretty much set in the modern day, there is no electricity on the island, and the people can only eat fish and food from the trees and have no contact with the outside world whatsoever. On the island, there's only one tiny classroom for school, only one teacher called Mr. Watts, the only white man on the island, and there's just one book called Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Mr. Pip is about how the main character, Matilda, identifies with Pip in Great Expectations. The way she identifies the book sort of affects her whole life and how she sees what happens to their island. During the novel, the rebels and the Redskins are fighting, and all the houses in her village get burnt down and all their possessions are taken. It also is about Matilda's relationship with her mother and with her teacher, Mr. Watts, the only white man on the island, and how Matilda becomes to love Great Expectations, and through that, everything to do with Dickens and the larger world. Matilda's mother really hates Mr. Watts and hates how she is not present living in the island in her mind. Something I loved about this book was it shakes me up from my comfortable middle class world to where I am privileged, because the book is set on an island I've never heard of, beginning where there is a civil war going on. And it broadens my perspective. I liked the writing, and I really liked the character Matilda. I liked how she views the world. She thinks of her little island, thinking of Australia as where the white people live and the rest of the world as a blank. Other than England, which she sees as Victoria, London, through the eyes of Charles Dickens, and it was very interesting. Another thing, I love the descriptions of Bougainville Island, where it is set, and how the Civil War affects their lives. It was interesting. I really enjoyed this book, and overall I'd rate it 5 stars out of 5. Yeah, 5 stars for sure. Hey Natasha, so you read the book Mr. Pip?
Yes, it was actually a very interesting book.
That's good. So how did you experience the book? Were you engaged?
It definitely piqued my interest in it because it had a sort of survival of the fittest meets the Hunger Games effect, right? So it had a lot of the aspects where you have to make a impulsive decision as to whether or not it's your life or someone else's.
Yeah, exactly. Matilda's mom definitely took her life from Matilda's. Anyways, is the plot, did you find it interesting?
It was actually very interesting. I guess
I like the historical part of it.
Yeah, it had a lot of the actual events that occurred.
Yeah, and the blockade, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, especially coming from the perspective of a 10-year-old.
Yeah. So, if you were to rate the book, what would you give it or rate it?
Well, I give it a 5 because it's not as well-rounded as most, but I mean it has a good plot, it has a good character, and it's a great setting. It just has to be well-rounded.
So what was your favorite part of the whole book?
I would definitely have to say the family reunion. It wasn't a big family reunion, it was just a daughter and father finally getting back. But I mean it pulled on your heartstrings a little.
Yeah, especially when the mom died, and the teacher, oh my god. Anyways, yeah, but that's all the questions I have. Thanks for the interview.
No problem, thank you.
Fiction! Hey Adam, so you read the book Mr. Pip?
Yeah, actually a couple years ago.
Oh yeah. So how did you experience the book? Were you engaged immediately, or did it take you a while to get into what was happening?
It definitely took me at least a couple chapters to get into the book, but I'm glad I stuck with it as a friend.
Well, that's good. So did you find the plot interesting as you were reading it? Were you engaged?
Oh yeah, like I said, it took me a bit to get into it, but once I was into it, I definitely enjoyed the whole read.
Yeah. So what was your favorite part to the book, would you say?
Towards the ending there, the 4 cakes for Misty was pretty nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cute. I was really happy when Matilda and her father met again after the 4 lost years.
Yeah, it's a happy moment.
Yeah, definitely. So, what would you rate the book?
I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah? Alright, so that's pretty good.
It's a good read, worth it.
The historical parts are interesting, but like, it wasn't all...
That's pretty much what got me, yeah. 'Cause, I mean, I like history, so it
Yeah.
kind of fit with me. Yeah.
That's good. Okay, well, thanks for, well, I'm glad we had you for this interview.
No problem.
Hey Rick, I'm Krista. So, what are 3 words you would use to describe your favorite book?
Action, adventure, and maybe mystery.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome. That's definitely what we look for in a good book like Mr. Pip.
Hey Krista, what are you reading? Hey Krista, what are you reading?
Shh.